Malaysia Tzu Chi volunteers and students mobilized to help clean up after the flooding in Penang on the 11th day. 18 members from the same family returned to Taiwan to participate in the 2017 Overseas Volunteers Training Camp. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Marilee Shoda. Thank you for joining us. Tzu Chi's disaster relief for flood victims in Malaysia's Penang continues to the 11th day as the entire country mobilized volunteers and medical professionals to help hard-hit victims. Although the volunteers are working from sunup to sundown, seeing everyone coming together to help one another makes the entire effort worthwhile. They chose to wake up early to help someone in need. At the front lines, about 150 Jingsa folding beds have quickly arrived.
It's raining now, but we are still out here asking after the disaster victims. The water has receded, but it began to rain again, so we are afraid their spirits might be down once more. So we formed a team to check in on them.
Let it go like this one also.
My house was severely flooded, and all my furniture and personal items are waterlogged. With your assistance, my burden can be lifted a little. You guys are too kind.
This little girl's feet were submerged the entire night in dirty floodwater.
We saw how they sleep on the floor, and the children's feet were soaked in water for many days, so we suggested giving them a Jingsa folding bed.
The waterlogged furniture is tossed onto the street, blocking the entrance to many of the homes.
It's really a united effort. Volunteers from across the country have come to help us.
The participants of this Tzu Chi camp are among those who are offering assistance.
We are working hard together, but that united efforts really comes through during the difficult times.
Kindergartners from Tzu Chi schools visited the Disaster Relief Coordination Center to distribute food and water to the adults. When the parents heard the cleanup event needed some extra hands, they jumped at the chance to assist.
Some of the elderly don't have the strength to take care of themselves, let alone clean up after this disaster.
Learning doesn't end when one walks out of the classroom, as today's lesson is realizing one's blessings through witnessing the hardships of others. Moving our focus to the United States, Tzu Chi Medical Foundation collaborated with Molina Healthcare of California to host a large-scale free clinic in San Bernardino. This year, many other institutions and organizations also joined in the effort.
At 6 in the morning, some residents in San Bernardino, California have already waited outside for the yearly free clinic to begin.
Okay, close.
Besides Tzu Chi's Medical Foundation, Molina Healthcare, City of Hope's National Medical Center, and University of California in Riverside, the Mexican Consulate, medical professionals from San Bernardino School District also served as the free clinic this year.
The Mexican Council and Tzu Chi hope to cooperate with each other to educate people on the symptoms and risk of cancer. In the meantime, we also want to let the Latin community understand more about their health condition, as well as to help them find the fastest way to improve their health.
To help residents who don't have health insurance receive medical assistance, many representatives from Central and South America Embassy also attend this special event to express their willingness to join hands and sign a memorandum of agreement.
Also in helping the disadvantaged in California, Tzu Chi volunteers host 3 free medical outreaches a year in Santa Ana. At the most recent free clinic in November, an extra medical service was added to conduct hearing loss prevention. The service was headed up by a professor from Cal State Fullerton who provided useful tips for the patients to improve their hearing habits. dental, ophthalmology, Chinese medicine, general medicine. These departments are offered at the 3 times a year free clinic in Santa Ana, California, hosted by Tzu Chi. This medical outreach is a godsend, especially for those low-income residents without health insurance. As times change, lifestyle habits also change. Thus, Tzu Chi rolled out a hearing loss prevention program this time.
The youngsters use headphones with their mobile a lot, so many of them are experiencing hearing loss at an earlier age. We hope to provide a more correct way to protect their hearing.
Professor Ying Jiao Cao from Cal State Fullerton has been participating in Tzu Chi's free clinics since 2014. This time, after the patients filled out the hearing questionnaire and the testing was done, she also explained the hearing test results and provided feedback to the patients.
She gave me a good amount of information based off my type of style of listening music, which is pretty loud. So for my tendencies, I have to have my volume pretty low because a lot of my music tends to be already naturally loud. So I guess I did learn a bit about myself and my habits and, of course, like the auditory problems with me and how I can fix it.
By expanding Tzu Chi's medical services, the volunteers hope the young and old can learn to protect their health and have a better lifestyle. Classifying drug addicts as criminals and simply locking them up is not a practical solution. What is gaining merit is in treating drug addiction as a disease. At the moment, an alternative drug, methadone, is being used to treat heroin addicts to slowly reduce their dependency. However, this process isn't something that can be cured in just 1 or 2 days, on top of which there aren't government laws implemented to track addicts' mandatory treatment of this. Is reducing addicts' dependency on the drug the real solution for Taiwan? Let's find out more in our report.
After giving a case number and submitting fingerprint confirmation, this nurse distributes 35 cc of methadone, which is a Class 2 controlled substance.
Long ago, I would like to quit drugs, but I would take more and more. The most that I could take at one time is 120 cc.
This individual has been taking drugs for more than 20 years, trying Class 3, Class 2, and Class 1 drugs, such as heroin. Abao has now been using methadone for 3 years, with their monthly bill being just $30 after she drinks 1 glass is equivalent of 4 or 5 injections of heroin. And at the same time, it reduces her use of needles.
At that time, my boyfriend was incarcerated, and when I went to see him, he told me that he had been infected with AIDS. This really shocked me.
Sharing needles has led AIDS transmission to escalate, with the Ministry of Health and Welfare estimates showing that 862 people had the disease in 2003, growing to 1,520 in 2004 and 3,400 in 2005. The simple reason was sharing needles. Beginning in 2006, the government launched a methadone replacement therapy. At present, there are 76 medical centers in Taiwan providing this service.
The FDA provides these drugs for us to apply and distribute after making regular checks to see if the physician has the relevant license and has undergone relevant training and education, which needs to be updated annually.
To treat lawful addiction, there are many options, such as DSUD, which contains buprenorphine, which is a pill placed under the tongue. If one regularly reports to the hospital, drug addiction patients spend about $116 for a prescription, which is the equivalent of $1,300 worth of heroin. While drug substitution therapy is legal and cheap, why is there still a drug addiction problem?
The current concept is that addiction is a chronic disease and that they have a psychological problem that needs long-term stable treatment. Therefore, the methadone treatment can help them stabilize their life.
In
fact, the criminal world is in control of almost all these drug markets. In order to reduce social problems, we undertake so-called medicine treatments for what we now call a disease.
Drug addiction is like a chronic disease, as one can only slowly control and stabilize the condition. Therefore, patients will need to seek help from psychiatric addiction clinics. At this stage, patients can't be tracked as another crisis emerges.
I see a lot of my friends taking methadone when they have no money to buy drugs. When they are out of drugs, they simply use methadone. Some people really want to change and they start work and can't stand the pain, so they go and take methadone.
Chen Kun-sung is in his early 40s and is now the owner of a waterproofing company. His face has a long scar from his wild youth. He wasn't just a drug abuser, but one who also trafficked drugs and who has been in and out of prison many times, has been clean for 7 years now.
In fact, it is a kind of dependency. You obviously know that when you are in prison, there are no drugs and you don't think about it. But that's not the same as the outside, where you can find a friend who has some. But when you are in prison, there's no way to do drugs.
While he continues to do hard labor with income less than what he earned before, Chen Kun-sung continues to be pragmatic and proud of his victory over drugs and says he now has a happy family. To overcome stress, drug addiction arises, but it can be a fatal attraction.
5,400 years ago, the Mesopotamian plain, where Iraq is now, they started large-scale cultivation of opium crops. These drugs cause both pleasure and pain and has led to a group of addicts needing treatment.
From ancient times to the present, people use drugs as a stimulant to help them achieve pleasures and escape their troubles. But when the drugs wear off, cravings continue, and one needs to indulge in rehab. Nowadays, medical treatment can't completely solve the problem, as it may be as difficult as losing weight, a psychological war that is hard to win.
This year, a total of 825 people completed their Tzu Chi volunteer training. Coming from 10 countries to Hualien, Taiwan, they attended the 2017 Overseas Volunteers Training Camp. One such group from Malaysia included 18 members from the same family. Let's find out how the family's affinity with Tzu Chi began.
来自马来西亚，我们是兄弟姐妹。我是妈妈。 我是姑丈，我是儿子。2017，我们都在慈济。
18 individuals from the same family returned to Hualien to attend a 2017 Overseas Volunteers Training Camp. This is after a previous visit in 2015 when they joined a Jingsa camp. After they took part in this training program, they became very active in their activities in Malaysia.
We are very thankful that Tzu Chi has been doing this work for so many years. This path has been very successful for so many, and we very much hope that in Malaysia, we can be the human eyes and the human hands of Master Zhen Yan and contribute so much more.
The first seeds in the family was Li Kan Kiao and Li Kuan Eng, who are two sisters. After attending a Tzu Chi camp in 2014, they felt compassion and benevolence of Master Zheng Yan and wanted to share this with their community as they recruited all members of their family to join Tzu Chi.
We learned by doing so all the way. We felt that we wanted to be Master Zheng Yan's hands, and when we went out, we wanted to pass this one to everyone. Our family has taken a direction that everyone feels the same heart, and is so grateful to Master Zheng Yan.
After receiving certification, there are now some 20 members of this family now involved in Tzu Chi, as this family from Malaysia feels truly fortunate to be spreading this love and compassion.
In our continuing series of devoted doctors, we meet Cai Guangchao, who has worked as a doctor for over 30 years. He observed that in addition to timely medical assistance in the emergency room, pre-hospital care is also very crucial. This led him to become the first physician and medical director of New Taipei City's fire department over a decade ago. He is also promoting a medical referral network which dramatically improves medical quality. His dedication has earned him New Taipei's Medical Contribution Award this year.
One commonly sees doctors going between hospital beds and the nursing station in the emergency room. For Dr. Tsai and all the medical professionals, emergency room requires teamwork because the average number of ER visits is up to 400 people per day.
If patients are not treated properly before they arrive at the hospital, it will reduce the chance of saving their lives. For this reason, we should walk out of the emergency room to promote emergency medical treatment.
Walking out of the emergency room to the disaster drill sites to train firefighters on emergency medical treatments. In 2006, Dr. Tsai became the first physician medical director of New Taipei's fire department. He has visited 67 branches to ensure the pre- and post-medical care have been closely connected.
We should treat all of the colleagues as our own family members. We should not separate our work.
Large-scale disasters always take place unexpectedly. As the nights when the Formosa Fun Coast Water Park incidents occurred, Dr. Tsai and many of his colleagues volunteered to sacrifice their holidays, working together to save lives and help the injuries.
When we took care of those patients who experienced the Formosa Fun Coast Water Park incident, there were still many other patients. However, we did not neglect any of these patients. I feel proud of our performance at that time.
Every time when we treat the patients who have experienced toxic chemical hazards, Dr. Tsai always plays a very important role as he may come to give us directions and tell us what we should do.
Dr. Tsai has served as a doctor for over 30 years. He has even become New Taipei City's first medical referral network convener.
Generally speaking, Dr. Tsai is a gentle but powerful director who may slowly bring us into the suitable position that we should be.
When patients in this country face a plight of the lack of medical resources and a shortage of healthcare workers, the emergency room gives them hope to change the situation.
When the patients think they have a fire department to rely on, a reliable ambulance to use, and a reliable emergency room to go, I think this is the biggest change.
We have all experienced discomfort when foreign objects get into our eyes. Doctors remind us not to rub our eyes. Instead, we should let our tears or use saline solution to wash out the foreign object. In the case of hard foreign objects, one should simply see a doctor at once.
Two chemistry students are being rushed to the hospital because they are injured by flying gases caused by an explosion in the experiment. One of them suffers from serious cuts to his right eye.
He may lose the eyesight to his eye. It's quite a serious wound.
Besides experiments in the lab, barbecues or burning paper money can also injure our eyes. Furthermore, there is also a case like this.
My eyes were hit by a blackboard eraser, so I went to wash my eyes. Then I felt my eyes hot and also stinging.
When Mr. Shi was in junior high school, he was hit by a blackboard eraser, and the chalk powder got into his eyes. He did not wash his eyes with water long enough. Now the calcium oxide in the powder had reactions with water and produced heat and injured his corneas. Eventually, he became blind. There are other types of injuries to the eyes.
When the cement came down, his cornea suffered severe injuries when he arrived at the hospital.
The doctor said that you must wash your eyes for at least 15 minutes should strong acid or alkaline touching your eyes. However, when metal scraps, nails, tree branches, or stones have injured your eyes, you shouldn't wash them.
It's very painful in one of those cases. then you shouldn't wash your eyes because in some serious cases, the lens, the choroid, and the iris can all be washed away.
What we can see daily is having sand or tiny bugs entering our eyes.
You just close your eyes and let the tears wash them out. Don't rub your eyes.
If they can be washed out by tears, you can use saline. Some people have suffered pain in their eyes when the incense or cooking oil enters their eyes.
When they enter your eyes, they will scratch your corneas. You will have a strong sense of foreign items in your eyes and want to rub your eyes. You should just use the eye drops, close your eyes and rest.
After the sense of discomfort is gone, you should still see the doctor to make sure the injury does not become worse.
In our next report, Mrs. Wu from the Puyuma tribe makes money to support her 4 children by weaving cross-stitch patterns and making colorful glass beads. Although her life was once troubled by her ex-husband's death, she always looks on the bright side of life. Its temperature is within 800 to 1500 degrees Celsius. If you suffer burns, you may sustain 2nd and 3rd degree burns. You can create anything you want through glasswork.
Each colored glass bowl is made at high temperature. A Puyuma woman, Mrs. Wu, relies on this skill to support her family.
I have to take care of my children, so I cannot work a regular shift. When I work, I need to bring my children with me.
The cross-stitch patterns express her feelings for her family and expectations for her children.
As a mother, my love for my children is to pass on this skill. If there is no one taking over this work, then in the future, none of the children in our family will be able to do this.
Mrs. Wu's oldest daughter is in 12th grade. To help her mother make glass bowls during the daytime, she has chosen to attend night school.
I decided to help my mother because no one else can help her. I lost my nail accidentally when using this tool.
Mrs. Wu was once sentenced to jail because of her ex-husband's death. After she was released from the jail, she was unable to find a job, leading her to live with depression. For the sake of her children, she made money by selling recyclables.
If I didn't do it, no one could help me. People would not help me if they saw me being sluggish.
They have experienced many obstacles in their life, but as long as they work hard to overcome difficulties, they can definitely get through this tough time. I believe the children can also make it.
Thanks to the help of Tzu Chi volunteers, this family's life has improved.
Since after working with Tzu Chi volunteers, my children's life has gradually improved and become stable. I hope that we will never owe money to other people and my children can live safely and grow healthily.
Although Mrs. Wu's life is hard, she lives a meaningful life as she keeps showing her creative ideas with handmade artwork, which she uses to make a living.
Each year, Master Zhen Yan hands out red envelopes of blessing and wisdom. And as the end of the year draws near, the assembly of these envelopes are also underway. Recently, Taichung Tzu Chi Hospital staff used their time before work to help put together these gifts, and also use this assembly time as a way to reflect on the past year. We'll leave you with these images at the end of the program. Thank you for joining us today. Goodbye.